Now, time value of money is basically just stating that as time goes on, the value of your money changes. We've did an example previously. 2-3 years back, with 100 Rand, you could have bought 3 McDonald's meals or burgers. Now, the same 100 Rand, still the same value, still the same color, you can only buy one. That's because of time value of money. Normally, the effect is inflation. So today our outcomes is, at the end of the study unit, you should be able to appreciate the concept of time value of money, understand the concept of future and present value, calculate the future and present value. Okay, so time value of money basically determines that money basically loses value over time. So if I borrow 1,200 from you and say that I will pay you back over 12 months, how much will you want me to pay you per month? If I pay you 100 Rand per month, it means that the 1,200 that you borrowed me at the beginning of the year will not be able to buy the same amount of goods at the end of the year because of time value of money. If we invest or save money, we need interest on it, and that interest should beat inflation. Otherwise, your money just keeps on losing value. So if somebody owes you money, they need to pay you interest. Otherwise, your money will be losing value. That's called time value of money. And you can use a calculator to calculate it, you can use a table, or you can use the formula. Now, the calculator is a bit expensive, so we're not going to use the calculator. We're not going to use the table either. We're only going to use formulas. Now, the important components of time value of money. N is period of the transaction. So if you're going to invest something over 5 years, the N is actually the period you're going to invest it over, which is the 5 years. I is the rate, that's the interest rate. So if you're going to invest and the bank tells you that they're going to pay you 10% per annum, that is I. So you will get 10% on the money that you have invested. If you go to the bank and you make a loan and they're going to charge you 10% interest, that means you're going to pay them 10% on the amount that you have borrowed. And then we have the PMT. PMT actually means payment. Payments that's made, that will normally be either monthly, sometimes it's daily, sometimes it's weekly, and you even get payments that's made annually, which is called every year. Now that's our PMT. Now in this study, we're only going to work with future value and present value, meaning that the payments or most of the other stuff we're not going to work with. We're only going to calculate either what's the future value or what's the present value. Now, with time value of money, they can give you anything, and then they can ask you, calculate the interest rate. Or they can ask you, calculate the period of the transaction. But we're not going to do that. In this study unit, we're only going to concentrate on calculate the future value or calculate the present value. Now, future value is actually the amount that you are still going to receive. Present value is the value as it is today. Now, future value, right? This is, now one thing you need to remember, if they want you to calculate the future value, they will not give you the future value. They will give you a present value, and then you need to calculate the future value. If the requirements is for you to calculate the present value, they will not give you the present value. They'll give you the future value, and you must be to calculate the present value. We will never not give you any one of the two. So it will either be the future value or it will be the present value. And another thing is, we might not ask you to calculate the future value, but there will be certain words that will say you will receive it, you know, like words in the future. Then you need to be able to know we're basically asking you for the future value. Now, for us to, if you want to calculate the future value, and it's very important to know your formulas. The formulas will not be given to you. So, sorry. The formulas will not be given to you, so you need to know your formulas. Future value, this is the formula. PV, open bracket, 1 plus I means interest, close bracket N meaning period, right? Now, as I said, we're not going to use the table. Then you get annuity due. Now, annuity is the same amount you receive over a period. Like, your period can be every year, it can be every month, it can be every week, right? So it's the same amount that you receive, and due means that you have received it at the beginning. And when you receive it at the beginning, interest is always earned at the end. That is basically like a rule. Then you get your annuity ordinary. That's the same thing. Annuity is the same amount that you have received or deposited. But in this case, with due, you deposited or received it at the beginning. With an ordinary, you have deposited it or received it at the end of the period. But if you notice, interest you receive, both of them you receive at the end of the period, right? So the present value, this is the present value formula. Future value, open bracket, 1 divided by, open bracket, 1 plus I, meaning interest, close bracket, N. Same story, annuity due, same amount that you received at the beginning. Annuity ordinary, same amount that you received at the end, but the interest is always paid at the end of the period. Okay, now this is if we were going to use the table, this is how the table looks, and then you would basically then just say, if they say you borrowed 100 Rand, you're going to pay 10% interest over 5 years, and then you'll just go to the percentage for the 10% and the period for the number of years. But we are not going to use the table, we're only going to use the formula. Time value of money, this is just a diagram to show you that everything moves over time, right? So if I say year zero is always today. And then you get year 1, year 2, and year 3. Okay, our first question. I'm just trying to, let me see if I can get this to write. Okay, sorry. Oh, it's not writing. No, it's okay. Okay, it just says you invest 200 Rand for 4 years at an interest rate of 10%, right? Now there we're saying we want you to calculate the future value. Then you're going to apply the formula, which is PV. Remember, they want you to calculate future value, so they will give you present value. The present value is 200. The 1 stays the same, the I is 10%, and the N is 4 years. And then you just put it in the formula, and then you calculate it. So you're going to say 200, open bracket, 1 plus. Now remember, I is in percentage. Now you need to convert it to a number. Every time you want to convert a percentage to a number, divided by 100, and it will give you the number. So 10% converted to a number is actually 0.10. And then 4, and this is the answer that you will get. Okay, we will do this in class so that you can just try the calculations. But on your own, you can just work through the slides with me. Then future value annuity. Remember, annuity is the same amount that you receive. Now you need to go and see, is it ordinary or is it due? Ordinary means you receive it at the end of the period. Due means you received it at the beginning of the period. So now they're saying, and when you see annuity, you need to know you deposited 100 Rand, right? Meaning for the 3 years, you deposited 100 Rand every year. So it says deposited 100 Rand per year for 3 years at an interest rate of 10%. There's the formula to calculate your future value, right? They give you the present value. So year 1, you're going to ask yourself, for how many years am I going to get interest? Right. So if you have deposited over 3 years, okay, you're only going to get interest for 2 years. Because remember, you deposited it now, your interest you're only going to get at the end of the year. That's already the beginning of the second year, right? So for 3 years, it means that you're only going to get interest for 2 years. So year 1, you will put in your formula, and n will be 2. Because where you are at, right, you're going to still get interest for the 2 coming years. And in year 2, you've now moved on a year forward. That means that you're only going to get interest for 1 year, because only 1 year will be left. And year 3, you're not going to get interest. You're only going to get because you are in the last year. And then you will just calculate up your numbers, and your answer will be 331. Okay, annuity, equal, and due. Due basically says that you will then receive it at the end of the period, at the beginning of the period. But between due and ordinary, with ordinary, you always ask yourself, how many years will I get the interest? With due, it's always cumulative. Meaning, I'm going to work out my first year, get my 110,000, and then I'm going to add it to my second year before. So I'm not going to, my n will not change. I'm not going to have 2 years and 1 year left. I'm just going to keep it as n, but you'll see, after the first year, sorry guys, this thing is running away with me. After the first year, you get 110,000. Then you take the 110,000, you add it to your deposit first. Then you work out the interest. Then your second year, you're going to get 231. Then you're going to first add the 231 to your 100 Rand deposit, and then that's how you're going to work it out. Then you get your annuity. That's when it's unequal amounts, right? So they're saying you deposited 100 Rand, then 150, then 200 Rand per year at an interest rate of 10%. There's your formula, and you're going to work. So you're going to say in year 1, how many years do I have left? I'm going to get it for 3 years. Year 2, I'm going to get it for 2 years only, and year 1, I'm just going to get interest for 1 year, and that's how you calculate it. So the crux of the story is know your formula and basically just substitute the amounts into the formula. We will do questions in the class, and I will do a video of the questions to show you how the calculations are done. We have the present value exactly the same. It's only your goalpost that has changed. With future value, you wanted to know what is the amount in future. With present value, I want to know what's the amount today. So with my future value, they gave me my present value. I had to calculate my future value. Now with my present value, they're going to give me the future value, and then I must calculate what is the value of the amount today. So you invested 100 Rand for 3 years at an interest rate of 10%. Principle is exactly the same. Know the formula, substitute the amounts in the formula, and that's how you get your answers. Your present value annuity, equal amounts, that just says that you're going to get the same amount every single year. Deposited 100 Rand per year for 3 years at an interest rate of 10%, right? And then you're basically just going to substitute it and then calculate it. Annuity, unequal amounts, deposited 100 Rand, then 150, then 200 at 10% interest rate. It works exactly the same like your future value. The only difference is the formula, and you're just going to jot in the amounts in the formula and do your calculation. Thank you so much. Next video will be on the calculation. Bye.